everybody. Welcome to Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited today. We're getting our royal on. It's very exciting. And we're talking about the three recent royal movies on Hallmark Channel. It's going to be very fun. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner. Terry's here.
Hi.
And we have two Terrys. I didn't even think about that. We have Teri Wilson with us, and she is the author of Once Upon a Royal Summer, which is the third movie we're going to talk about. ROYALISH is based on. And Terry, we've had you on the podcast a number of times, so glad to have you back.
Thanks. I said hi to the wrong Terry, but sorry. I was like, what do I say? I could see the other Terry's name.
I was confused for Rachel. If you can pronounce it, you can call me by my government name.
Yes, I maybe I'll do that next time.
Or just go E.
It didn't even occur to me. It didn't even occur to me until we were making the announcement. I'm like, oh, duh. You can do without a lot of things, but you can't do without a Terry, right?
That's right. Terry's the better.
Yes. So this is very fun. We have these royal movies, and Terry, you're Terry. Well, how am I going to do this? Okay.
Well, Rachel, I've got a complicated real name, but if you just want to call me like E because it starts with E, you could.
Oh, okay. E. Okay. So
well, I mean, if you could pronounce, I do have a real name, but it's
what's your government name?
It's Eleuteria.
Eleuteria?
Yeah.
Eleuteria?
It's exactly how it is, since you pronounce it correctly.
Oh, well, good.
For the American pronunciation,
beautiful name.
Oh, okay. Just call me Terry W.
Okay. Well, so I think E's good. That's good. So E, you're a big fan. We wanted to have you on this one because you really love the royal movies, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. It's
my
bread and butter.
Why do you love them?
I just love especially the modern, there's like a fairy tale aspect to it, and it's just escapism. It's I don't mean nonsense in a bad way. I mean that in an absolutely good, delightful way when you can sit down and just enjoy in some kind of escapism. It doesn't have to be real. It gets bad when it does turn kind of real, when they get too serious. But if you get that fairy tale-ness in a modern take, it's just a lot of fun. Yeah. Every little girl dreams about that at one point, maybe. Yeah. But I always dreamed about the queen. Skip the princess. I want to have the power. But
well, that was one nice thing about the Frozen movies is they did kind of skip the princess. They went right to the queen.
Right, right to queen.
Yeah, which is kind of nice. All right. Well, Terry, what drew you? Because you're a big royal fan, right?
Yes,
just the royal family in general. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why do you find that so appealing?
Well, I mean, I became fascinated with the real life royals when I was a little girl and Princess Diana came on the scene and married Prince Charles.
Oh, yeah.
That's what sucked me in because I had always been a big Cinderella fan. I still am. But I mean, I just remember specifically a birthday cake I had when I was a kid. It had the coach, and it was going through the white icing on top of my cake. And so Cinderella was always my favorite story, my favorite movie. And it just, at the time, the Princess Diana, her wedding, it just felt like a real life Cinderella story. And I was just captivated. And that's when I started following the British royal family. And I have, for a long time, I have a group of girlfriends that I met on Instagram, and we went over to London for the Queen's Jubilee and for the coronation. And so we're really hardcore into it.
Yeah.
So same thing for me. Like I said, it's like the other Terry said, it's the whole fairy tale aspect of it. I think is what draws people in.
Yeah. So when you were, is Once Upon a Royal Summer, was that your first time ever writing a royal story?
Oh, no, I've written several. I've written several, but that one is by far my favorite.
Okay.
Because do you want me to keep talking?
Yeah, please.
Because the reason why it was my favorite is because, like I said, I've always loved Cinderella and the whole, Disney franchise, the Disney princesses. I've always loved them. I've always loved real life royals, and ROYALISH / Once Upon a Royal Summer just kind of combines those two things because it's about a theme park princess who meets a real life royal.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to write the book because there was just so much subtext at first in the tea party scene, because she's talking about, frothy fairy tale royal kind of stuff, not realizing that she's talking to a real life royal.
Yeah.
Thinks the whole thing is like ridiculous. It's like someone cosplaying his real life. So
yeah, I've always been a big Cinderella fan myself. Before the Little Mermaid, there was all we had was Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty as far as princess movies, and so I love both of them so much, and and so I've always really enjoyed I like the fact that you can take that same basic template and make so many different kinds of stories. Like we've had everything from Ever After to the Brandy one, which I love, to the animated classic, to the the more recent Disney version. It's really a story that just works. I love the Cinderella story movies, and they're really fun. So yeah, I agree with you. There's something about that, like rooting for the underdog, that I think is really fun.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
But let's dive in. Let's talk about these three movies. The first one, The Royal We. This was on the 1st of March and starred Mallory Jansen and Charlie Carrick. Director Claire Niederprum and writer C.J. Cox. When her older sister elopes with a non-royal, Princess Bee, who has lived her life away from her royal duties, must now step in and honor their arranged marriage to a small kingdom prince. So, E, what did you think overall about this movie?
I loved it. It was everything that I just wanted from one of these movies. It was silly, it was over the top, and they wanted to be royal. They didn't want to give it up to become bakers or librarians or to work in a mall. I still can't get over that one, Rachel. But anyway, that I watched. But I just loved it because it's just the feuding family stuff, the leaving royalty for a hot plumber. That made me laugh so much. I don't know, it was fun, and they had good chemistry. Yeah. And I just thought the banter was cute, and just the feuding countries, like that used to be one giant country. It was
the two dads, the kings.
The two dads.
Was really
it was like
funny.
They really went in for it. They were like, "No, we're not taking anything seriously. We're just having fun with it." Yeah. And this is the kind of royal movie you want to watch, where they're just happy being. Well, no, they've got problems, but essentially, it's like, yeah, we're royal, and this is what we do.
Yeah, I liked all three of these, but I have to say this one was my favorite. I kind of left thinking, like, what else could you ask for? So I'm not saying it's a perfect film, but like for what they're trying to do, I just don't know what else you could want in a movie from this movie. They really delivered, in my opinion. What do you think, Terry, overall?
I loved The Royal We. Obviously, I'm not going to include my own movie in my ranking, but it was my favorite among the other two. Yeah. First of all, I loved all three because I'll just eat up anything Hallmark Royal with a spoon.
Yeah.
But it was my favorite also. I thought that they had great chemistry together. I thought it was a really unique premise as far as Hallmark Royal movies go.
Yeah.
I especially loved the part where he pretended like he didn't know what bowling was, and then
Yeah.
they go to the bowling alley and he gets all those strikes. And then the couple that they met at the bowling alley ended up getting invited to their wedding. Like, I thought that whole thing was so cute. But I really liked the characters. I thought they were really endearing. I liked, all the little social media pop-ups, when the first princess leaves her engagement for the plumber was so cute.
Yeah, that was fun. That was
fun.
It gave it a really modern spin. And, he was in just such an awkward position after that. But I just really loved them together. I just thought that they had a really good spark, and I couldn't wait to see how they ended up together. And then at the end, when they had the guards like on both sides,
that was great
between the two countries, I was cracking up. I just thought
that was so much fun to just watch them like running to the borders. I mean,
and they're hugging each other like, oh, we're one united country now. I just thought it was really
good. It was such a good ending. I love that.
Ending. Well, and we have such division in the real world now. It was really fun to have that aspect of the story too. Just very heartwarming and feel good.
And they literally like hug over the borderline, over the gate for the border. That was really good.
I clapped, Rachel. I clapped at that at home by myself. I was like, this is wonderful.
I mean, if you're going to be a realist in an era with social media, I don't think that she could be a princess and be this removed and this, hide things so well. But like, it worked, and I loved her roommate. She was super fun.
Oh, and when she switched the accents,
yeah,
so great.
That was really funny. And she's like, "You like boxed wine and discount pedicures?" Like,
I love how she's just broken up, and when you see her, the first glimpse you see her, she's a mess because she got dumped. And she's like eating all those donuts and whatnot. And I was like, come on, girl, you'll be all right.
Yeah. And this movie has the butler from the Parent Trap.
That's right. Yes.
That was so fun. I was like, oh.
I do have to say, I have to bring up something that I haven't heard anyone talking about online. And I'm like, does no one notice this but me? But the Royal We, is also a very, very well-known popular book, especially in Royal Circle fans, but it does not have anything to do with this movie. Like, the movie is not based on the book, The Royal We, but The Royal We was such a huge bestseller and a really well-known book that I was kind of surprised that
I thought it was. I have not read the book, but I am familiar that it exists. It's on my to-read list, but I thought, did Hallmark making their own version? And I looked it up and I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's a surprise. Different story. The Royal We is a fictionalized account of, they don't use the same names, but it's a fictionalized account of Prince William and Kate Middleton's relationship.
Oh,
they use different names, but it's basically the same thing, and it has a little more drama and all of that, and has a really cute cover that obviously is supposed to be a cartoon version of them on their wedding day. But yeah, so when I first saw the announcement, I got excited because I was like, oh, they made the Royal We. And then I realized, oh, no, they didn't. It's just a completely different thing. So
that's interesting. I didn't realize. It sounds familiar now that you mention it. The name.
I think there's a sequel to the book too.
There is a sequel where they go on their honeymoon and work in a bookstore and pretend not to be royal. Like, again, what?
That's funny. I mean, it's just so hard being rich and famous, and your tough royal schedule of kissing babies and christening.
They don't kiss babies anymore now.
Don't kiss babies. They said never babies. That was in Royalish. Yeah, he was like, no, we don't kiss babies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can think of harder jobs. But I'm sure I don't know anything about it. So what do I know? But let's see here. I liked when the Secret Service show up and her friend is like karate chopping them. She's like,
that was so funny.
The friend was hilarious.
She was
I
good.
really liked her a lot. And I was
I
like,
do
good
too.
for standing by your girlfriend, even though she's been lying about her identity to you the whole time you've known each other.
Forgave her so quick. And I was like, I mean, maybe I did the same, but I was like, she's like, oh, okay, shrug. So yeah, you're a princess. And now she's talking to you with a British accent now, you know.
No, like I would be like, is this like a mental health crisis? Like, what?
No, are you
Are
okay?
you split personality right now? What's going on?
But
Lot to
Mallory,
process.
she must speak French because because they worked that into as well, like her speaking
And she
French.
sounded amazing. Obviously,
Yeah.
she's a French speaker.
Rachel, if you notice, all these fake countries in these movies and books always seem to border the southern France or whatever. You ever notice that? Like they're always by the
Yeah. Oh yeah.
French places, you know, like they're hidden countries next to the French Riviera. There's a lot of movies if you watch them all, they're like, whoa. And I was like, wow, there's so many fake islands next to like the French Riviera.
I think
Well,
because everyone's trying to make them into Monaco, basically.
yeah.
But
Yes,
that's
yes, that's
you
a
know,
good
That's
like,
what I
example.
was
Yeah.
thinking.
yeah,
Like
I write for
Monte
Harlequin.
Carlo.
Yeah.
Carlo.
Yeah,
I write for Harlequin.
makes sense.
There are several Harlequin lines that have like a lot of royal books. And
Yeah.
thing they it's an abbreviation called FMP, and that stands for Fake Mediterranean Principality. and so and that's just what it is. It's like I'm gonna make a fake country next to France, you know.
Which makes sense because the Mediterranean is beautiful and no one ages over there. You know, it's
Well,
they're all sun-kissed and beautiful. So I would like to be there too.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't a Genovia.
Oh.
It was Vostory,
Yeah.
something like that. And that was better than like for a long time after Princess Diaries, everything was some form.
They were always obvious.
Yeah, I mean it has to be
Obvious.
hard. It has to be hard making up a fake country, right? Just thinking of a good name for a fake country. It's got to be hard.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean,
I
do
could do it.
Do you think that they really can't just like go for a ride if they want to go for a ride, or like go to dinner if they want to go to dinner? They really have to. Like, do you think it's really that managed, I guess, for the royals?
I think it depends on where they are and who it is. Because I think if you're not, like the heir to the throne, if you're more of a fringe royal, like string, I think you probably obviously have more freedom. And yeah, but I mean, I don't think they typically go out without their protection. I remember reading, of course I read like all the Princess Diana biographies, and that was one of the things that she used to do, is try and sneak out and ditch her security and that kind of thing. So I think it really is a thing that they have people around most of the time.
I'm sure. I mean, they would have to, because depending on where in the world you are and you're royal, you have to worry about being kidnapped, being held for ransom. I mean, as much as I laughed at the royal nanny, that stuff could have possibly happened, like kidnapping a royal or something.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
do you think also that he would have no money?
Well, I always write that into my royal books. The prince never
yes,
I
do.
Yeah, I mean, they never carry money. They don't have to.
There is no way that like if King Charles is carrying like $5 or like a debit card in his pocket or his wallet.
I read a whole blog post once about how Kate Middleton's purse is always empty. There's literally nothing in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
really?
Was it? Yes. Yeah. And Queen Elizabeth would have like a lipstick and a compact and like tissue. And that's all she had in her purse or something.
Yeah, and she used to use it like as a signal. Like she would carry it on one arm, and if she was like tired of talking to the person that she was talking to, she would switch it so someone would swoop in and like move her onto the next person.
I honestly believe it, because if I was that rich and had somebody pay for everything, I'd never carry nothing either. They probably don't got ID. They probably don't got nothing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we got to show ID to like go to the movies to get in and stuff. They just walk right in. They don't have our problems.
So her sister runs off with elopes with the plumber, and so that leaves this spot, and they're like, we need you to be a part of this this arranged marriage to bring our countries together. And so they meet up, and they have like instant chemistry. I mean, they just did these two actors. It really worked. And then she's like, let's go, let's leave this fancy restaurant and let's so they sneak off. And it kind of, for this middle part of the movie, to me felt almost like a male version of Roman Holiday, even though they're both technically royals. Like, he feels more secluded, more isolated. She's been living this other life. And so like it was fun, this sort of him being introduced to all these American things.
It's like, because he's the heir, so he has all that burden, and she's technically the spare who's now become the heir.
Right. Yeah. And they go bowling, and he's like an amazing bowler.
He is the best bowler.
I was wondering if that was a nod to Prince Harry, because didn't in his autobiography he wrote, like, when he was like bummed out in Los Angeles, he walked into a bowling alley and everybody was making fun that bowling alley like saved his life because he wrote it in.
Oh, really?
And I thought, because he talks about like, oh, and I would bowl privately and I would just escape all my problems. And I was like, I wonder if that's like a wink, wink, and a nod to that.
He needs to do more bowling, I think.
Oh, plenty more.
Yeah. After that,
we got to see the prince propose like over and over again.
Oh, that poor guy, man.
I know. Like, I was like, this poor guy, he's proposing again.
She's like, no.
Did you all watch you don't have Netflix, but that the with
I have
Megan?
seen clips, Rachel, and I know that ice is good to keep things cold. So thank you for that. What got me?
We got to move pretzels from one bag.
That got me. Because I saw extensive clips, and I fell off my chair. I was like, "What are you talking about? Just give her the bag of pretzels, just like that."
It was painful. I mean, I'm sure she's a super sweet lady, but it was just, this was not it, and it was. Ooh. So feel sorry for Netflix if you can, because
that'll be all right.
But it turns out his favorite movie is The Big Lebowski.
That clocks, I think.
I feel like that was sort of a deep cut though for Hallmark.
Totally.
It was. Yeah.
A lot of I don't think there's a ton of Coen brothers super fans in the Hallmark world, but it was funny. And so the butler guy, I don't know what's I don't know what that position is, but anyway, excuse me, he thinks they've been kidnapped. He's like freaking out. And so then he
for sure must have had a cell phone though.
Yeah.
Unless they didn't take that. He could have called a cell phone. I mean, he probably could have tracked him on that GPS. He overreacted. For sure.
Yeah, that's true. They probably could just do locate me now.
Yeah.
But then they have like the photo op and I thought the costuming was exceptional, because sometimes that is a little bit lacking in these Hallmark movies, the royal movies. Like, they'll show up the big reveal dress, and it's not that good. But this one, all of her dresses I thought were beautiful.
Yeah, she looked,
she was
well tailored.
Yeah, and I mean, and then she trips and he catches her, and that was really fun. And I just felt like this movie had so many swoony moments, so many moments where I was like, oh, that's so romantic.
When they're gazing at the stars and they fall asleep, it's just like, oh no, we're caught. They're grown adults, like well into their 30s, and they're so afraid.
But that was so cozy. I mean, it was kind of a little bit grown up for Hallmark. I mean,
yeah.
Getting like, they're practically spooning on the roof. I mean, that's
they went old school Hallmark like that, because I remember when Hallmark used to be a tad bit more spicier, but that's back in the day.
There were so many just fun moments, like when she brings him tea. I love that whole
bedrooms
scene.
and their pajamas. I was like, this is great. I gotta tell you, ain't nobody seeing me in my pajamas or whatever like that. I am not a good sight at that moment. So he definitely would have been like, marriage is off.
Yeah.
The country is doomed.
I mean, Terry, what did you think about just the swooning moments in this?
Oh, I loved it. That was
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
reasons why this one was my favorite, because I thought the romance was just spot on.
Yeah.
Which I know we're going to talk about Reluctant Royal later, but the romance to me was not a
Yeah.
thing in that movie.
Agreed.
And I love the romance parts so much that's why I really liked it. I thought it was super swoony. I just loved
Yeah.
them together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely even got excuse me, I definitely got Roman holiday vibes with the whole Vespa
Yeah, oh, of
thing,
course.
Yeah.
That
you
was
know,
on
like that was
purpose, I'm
very
sure. Yeah.
and then he runs off and he gets on he's like hitchhiking on this truck, which was fun. And then they run out of gas in the Vespa and then they're just running to each other and it was really fun.
So great.
Running to the border between their Civil War country.
I know I was looking on Letterboxd, and of course, almost everything is negative. So if you all love Hallmark movies, and why would you be listening to this if you didn't love Hallmark movies? But if you do, sign up for Letterboxd because we need more fans on there. They get such bad reviews, and they don't deserve it most of the time. Sometimes they do, but not these. Excuse me.
I noticed that it's all like almost all TV movies get like
it's so unfair.
This is a great genre, people. Like,
and I'm just like, what more? Like, I just feel like you have to be so freaking cynical to not be charmed by this. Like this.
So,
I don't know.
This is what you would expect from a sort of fairy tale type of romance, dealing with royals that you like and stuff that aren't annoying. But I don't know if anybody else did, but at the end of this movie, and I feel like although these were all extra scenes that they filmed later, but when they connected all of these royal movies together,
what did you think about that?
Yeah, I screamed, and I was like, yes, because this was my MCU. I screamed with delight. I was like shaking, ridiculous. In the middle of the night, by the way. I must have scared the crap out of my neighbor. But I wish they did more with it, but
well, I was just a little bit disappointed that we didn't get like a culmination in Royalish.
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh, are we gonna like see little glimpses at the end of like because they are planning at the end their wedding. And so we know that the both of them, they're all related to these two other men that we see, in these next two movies. And I was like, are we going to get like some kind of group shot at the end? I wish
that would have been
more
fun
with that. So I ended up being a little bit disappointed, but I liked how Hallmark is like, nah, we're all one universe.
Yeah.
And,
do you know anything about that at all, Terry?
Well, of course, I have. On my other Hallmark movies, I was on set, for a few days. And this one, I was not on set and knew absolutely nothing about it. I mean, I knew it was happening, but I hadn't seen the movie until it came out,
Okay.
And that sort of thing. And so I did not even know they were doing that until I was watching the Royal We. And at the end, I was like, oh my God, there's my people.
I thought it was great that they did it.
It was fun. It was
I just wish
I loved it. Yeah.
It was a little bit more like, I don't know. I mean, they could do a sequel to any of these movies because rating wise, they did really well.
Mm-hmm.
All three of these, like the audiences ate this
up.
The
royal movies always do well.
Always do
really
good.
Do.
So like,
I'm glad we're talking about this because, I got on the Hallmark Facebook page, shortly before my movie came out. And some of the hate on there for the royal movies, it's so funny because I did a podcast, a different one, and they were asking me, they said, the royal Hallmark movies get so much hate, they're so divisive. And I was like, are they? Because I feel like some loud minority of people complain about them online, but obviously Hallmark wouldn't be making them if they weren't successful, and they always have amazing ratings. And I was just kind of perusing some of the negative comments. I was like, man, to get that ragey over a Hallmark movie, like, you take a look in the mirror, people. Like, this is nothing to get upset about. If
there are weird things, like you can go like on Twitter or something like that and get like universal love for something, and then you go to the Facebook page and it's like it sucks, and you're like, well, what's going on?
2018, when the royal wedding, there were I think 7 on Hallmark movie. 7 royal Hallmark movies that year. That was even for me, that pushed me to about my limit. But in general, I really enjoy them. And it'd be one thing if Hallmark made like 4 movies a year and a bunch of them were royal. Then I'd be like, okay, they make over 40 movies,
right?
Just Christmas movies. They make like 100 movies a year. They can
but
that aren't your particular like favorites. That's fine.
Right. You don't have to watch if that's not your thing, but you don't need to like go online and call it garbage and talk about how it's ruining your whole life. But it's like, let's have some perspective. But even the Hallmark movies that I think I'm not gonna, because I try and watch all of them because Hallmark is my happy place, and I love being surprised by a movie that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I do.
That's true.
Yeah.
The top 3. These royal movies are like the top 3 of this year for rating wise.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I would give this one a pretty high score. I really enjoyed it out of 5 crowns. I'd probably give it like a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. You agree?
Yes, I agree. It's like, I think it definitely is thus far my favorite Hallmark movie that's aired this year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we won't make you score.
I would
get a 5.
I would give it 5 just because I wouldn't change anything about it. Like I can't think of a thing that I would change. So
we'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor of this episode of the podcast. It's the new novel Shooting Stars Above by Patricia Levy. In this heartfelt contemporary romance, Patricia Levy takes us on a journey with a best-selling novelist and a federal agent fighting to heal past wounds. Can unconditional love help heal through this epic love story? Order the book at Amazon or Barnes & Noble now for only 99 cents using the affiliate link below. That's only 99 cents for a limited time. Don't miss it.
Let's talk about The Reluctant Royal. This is on the 8th. Andrew Walker, Emily D. Ravine. And it was, let's see here. Writers Neil and Tippy Dabrowski, who are like legends. In Hallmark, and Samantha Herman, she's also good. And he had said in his social media that he had also worked on the story. So I don't know, he's not listed in the writers on IMDb, but he did say that. So I think he was pretty involved. I mean, you could tell with all the juice stuff. But
it's just saved them, Rachel.
Yeah.
Juice saved them.
It stars Andrew Walker, Emily D. Ravine, and Simon Corey, director Kevin Fair. Philly mechanic Johnny is surprised to learn that his long-lost father is a duke, but the duke isn't quite what he expected, nor are his growing feelings for the duke's advisor, Prudence. So, what do you think about this one?
I like this one. It's got a few flaws, but I was like, I'm just going to enjoy it for the silliness that it's clearly trying to be. It was trying to have like fun and not be taken too seriously. I mean, the minute he introduced juice at the bar, I was like, nah, this ain't serious. This movie ain't serious. I'm just going to go with it. I did think they were maybe a little too old. I hate to say that. But when he said I'm 39 or 38 or something like that, I was like, okay, so he's supposed to be too old for some of this foolishness that he's doing. But, other than that, I just thought it was interesting. I mean, it was like a real place. You're in York, and they're dukes. So it wasn't like a made up country. It's just like sort of an alternate version of that. But for the most part, I don't know. I had fun with it. I just loved the mother and the cousin and his mother. Like they were mustache twirling villains and so snobby.
Yeah, they were really
fun. I thought that they were just the best part of the movie whenever they were on. Like, ha ha ha, like trying to like take his title, and I was like, I love that. Had it been more of that, maybe, but
I had fun with it. I mean, I love Andrew Walker as a person, but his projects often frustrate me. And I would say of his recent projects, aside from the Three Wise Men, this is probably one of my favorite of his recent projects. Certainly we all know how much I loved that Staring at Walls movie last year. That was painful. This one, much better than that. I don't think the chemistry was really there. I wasn't really feeling it. And it's hard when your characters spend most of the movie business, and there aren't enough swoony scenes like in the first of Royal We. There were a lot of scenes with them together doing swoony things, so we get invested. There weren't that many between them. There was like the horseback riding. There were a few scenes, but it's just hard to get. I think it's hard for the chemistry to develop. But it was pleasant enough. I enjoyed everything, like with his mom and his dealing with his dad, and they had to throw in a scene with him without a shirt, which was really funny.
Which is great. I'm sorry, I'll take that. I was like, oh yeah, it's so random too. She walks in, he's just shirtless in his room.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it, he's in his room, but like, you are not at home. You are in a different place. Like, you're gonna put that shirt on, even you can't be that comfortable in somebody else's house.
Yeah, it was
I'll take it.
I will. Yeah. I mean, Terry, what do you think overall of this one?
Well, this movie had one of my favorite tropes, which was where a normal person finds out that they're royal and they didn't like expect it. And just because I'm still waiting for that to happen to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's always in the movies, it's always like the worst thing that's ever happened to them. Hilarious.
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I like Andrew Walker. He's always charming. So that's wonderful. My favorite part of this movie, though, was the relationship between him and his dad, how they, became closer throughout the course of the movie, and then ended up having a real relationship when it started out where he felt so angry and betrayed, with good reason. And so I just, that whole part was my favorite part of the movie. Like I said, the romance didn't really work for me as much.
Yeah.
And I don't, actually listening to y'all talk about the movie, I think it clicked to me why I didn't think it worked is because his character was kind of so silly and hers was so serious, because she worked for the royals and all that. And so I just think that combination it just was not all that believable to me. But I did like the family part, the part with his dad, and of course mom showing up and surprising everyone at the end. And I did love the villains. I thought they were hilarious. So
what I think is a better example of the same kind of dynamic is the I think it was Runaway Romance, a Runaway Royal.
Yes.
Like that one.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a similar, like she's working and she's the royal, he's working, and they're interacting and back and forth. That one, I thought that script was very solid. But I did learn that, I guess, so that I did some diving to figure out, okay, what is going on with being a duke? Like, what are so I guess there's royal dukes and there's non-royal dukes. And there are currently 31 dukes. And but there's more dukedoms than that, but some dukes hold multiple titles. But there's only 7 royal dukes right now currently. And those 7 are part of a working royal, except for Harry. And so they christen ships and do whatever the royals do. And then 24 non-royal dukes, and they have jobs. Their jobs have been varied, quite often in business or finance. The Duke of Beaufort is a singer and songwriter in the rock band The Listening Device. So check out their Spotify. 4 of the dukes currently sit in the House of Lords, 2 of which are automatic, as they are also Earl Marshal and Lord Great Chamberlain.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's some learnings. So he could probably be a mechanic of like fancy cars.
Oh, totally. Like I believe that. I mean, this is just old money, and you're inheriting these titles. But they're not really doing anything. He could live a life,
work on Jaguars, and
he could live a very comfortable life.
Bentley, stuff like that.
Right. They're not doing like government policy, like
no,
that kind of royal, like in peace.
So, but some of these dukes are actually related to the royal family. They're just like way down the line.
Yeah, that's why some of them are royal dukes and
not. So it's like the line, it drips and drips. The further you go down the family, it's less and less important,
Yeah. So then we have the Duke. He says he loved the mom more than anything, but he came back out of duty and he never knew that he had this child. So.
Right. Well, their correspondence, I guess, has
been.
They were writing to each other, and someone was taking their letters, and
which is believable because it's believable because it's actually happened in history before. So,
I mean, the only thing that is like, why didn't the mom make more of a stink, like try to get child support and stuff like that? I mean, I guess they were only going off letters.
Well, I guess she didn't find it worth, like, if we're not worth it to you, then why bother? I guess she just was like, nope. But she could have told the kid, though, like, your dad, it didn't work out. And he chose not, which would have been tough, but like, he could have been somewhat prepared.
So he's
like, realistically, I mean, she could have been afraid, like if she started demanding or something. I mean, they live in a whole nother country and the power dynamic was really different. I'm sure maybe she just kind of wanted to stay under the radar so she would have the full active role in her kid's life. I think, especially if she thought that he didn't want anything to do with them. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was somewhat believable.
Kind of. How did we feel about him starting a juice empire?
I mean, wow, juice saved the day. I would have never thought that, but like, it's going to save that farm. It's going to save all that land. Mm-hmm. Juice. Hey man, I can't blame him. He's got to work it in, right? He's got work to do. He's got a business. Let's mix my two loves together. That did make me laugh though.
It was funny because that Andrew Walker has a juice business.
Yeah, I knew immediately. West. I was like, I was like, that's his. That's
I guess it makes it easy because they could just use for props and stuff. Got the juice right there. Why not? It was cute. It was funny. So they find out that evidently the signature on the annulment was forged. It's and the mom comes back and the cute little between her and the Duke. And
I wish we would have gotten a little bit more like, did they get back together? They trying to make it work, you think?
Oh,
that was definitely implied.
Yeah, that's implied. Like, because I'd be like, well, technically we're still married, so let's get some work into this.
Yeah,
they're definitely back together.
Yeah.
No, what would have been better if she had been remarried, and he had like another father figure, and he had to deal. This would have been more complicated. But I would have loved it. Like, oh no, we're still married, and the new guy and the new husband would be like, well, what about me?
I do appreciate that we got Andrew Walker in a tux because they don't often go the tux route on Hallmark.
The end of that movie was like, I wish it was more all like that with them running in the field and then that kiss. I thought that was like the most.
Oh yeah, running through the grass.
Yeah, I said they should have done that more earlier in the film because they should have had that build up. I thought that was like the most that they ever like. The horseback scene was funny, but it's just because he's competing with his cousin. On who's better. And then them riding bicycles didn't do much for me either, but I don't know.
Well,
it still worked.
Yeah. The Alistair guy, they try to use this annulment as, your claim to the throne is illegitimate. But then that's when they find out that, it was forged document.
Still matters in 2025, I guess,
Yeah.
Legitimacy.
I thought
I guess for a title, yeah.
It was a nice line where he says, I just want to dance with the prettiest girl in the kingdom. That was nice. That was nice. And then then we get the coda at the end with
that was definitely a tacked on scene.
Yeah, but it was
after the movie was done. Yeah.
Cousin Henry's in love with an American girl and giving her biscuit and then the other cousin was about to marry into Androvia.
I was like, he's like, I gotta learn more about my family. I wonder if he said juice to them as a gift. Do you think?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Juice.
I would give this one like a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, same.
I enjoyed it. It was I'd watch it again. So, but not like a favorite, like a Royal We. What about you, Terry? What do you think?
I was going to say 3 out of 5. I mean, I would watch it again too. I like Andrew Walker, and like I said, I liked the family dynamics of it.
Yeah.
So.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Let's talk about Royalish. So this one, so this one, Lacey is an amusement park princess who befriends 8-year-old Rose, a real-life princess, and is recruited by her handsome father to travel to their kingdom and be the new governess. So this one on IMDb, it just has you as the writer.
Yeah, I obviously did not write the screenplay.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, no. Gosh, I want to say it's Tracy Andine. I'm not.
Oh,
I believe it is. The credits said it is.
Okay, that's who it is then, because it started out being Nina Weinman Swift, and then I think she wrote the original outline, and then they ended up having to switch because she got pulled in on another project. But yes, there were definitely screenwriters. I've never written a screenplay before, but it's based on.
You can't go wrong with either of those. So that's that's a good problem to have to have Nina replaced by Tracy. Very cool. Director Roger M. Bob. And this stars Nicole Sakura and William Mosley. And I really enjoyed it. It's based on your book, Once Upon a Royal Summer. And I thought it was a cute book. I thought it was a cute movie. What did you think of it overall?
I thought it was cute. I love the book. So I was excited for this one. And I think it's out of the three, the more sort of traditional that we're used to seeing these royal movies, like it's sad sack prince and usually there's a kid involved. So I felt like, oh, this is very traditional, very what we're used to. But I thought it was very cute. She's very cute. And
Well,
I just love the amusement park.
Yeah. It reminded me of Crown for Christmas.
Yes.
Because of the relationship with the little girl. And I think that was done well there and done well here. And I could have used even more time with the prince and with the two leads because she was with the girl a lot. And so, but they did enough. They did more than Reluctant Royal of swoony scenes with them going like picnics and stuff like that. And so I liked that. So you said you weren't that involved in the making of this movie, but do you know like what theme park that was that they shot it or anything like that?
First of all, I would have loved more of the theme park.
Same. I would have liked it.
Yeah, the book is pretty much split in half. Like the first half of the book is at the theme park and the second half of the book is at the kingdom. And so I really liked the parts at the theme park and I wish that we had a little bit more of that. Like I know it was all shot in Ireland, but first I just, happened to stumble upon an article that was like an article about Royalish, and apparently that the theme park, the aerial shots of the theme park are a theme park in Stockholm, Sweden. But as far as I know, we never filmed in Sweden. So I'm not sure where. Let me take that back. Like I know that like the tea party scene and a lot of the parts that are supposed to be at the theme park were shot at a castle in Ireland.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I
Beautiful
think they probably
location, though.
made it look like a theme park. But the shots that are actually from a theme park in Sweden. So I imagine those are probably like stock photography clips. But I know that they made a castle kind of look like a theme park in Ireland for a lot of the theme park shots.
It was a beautiful location. That
Yeah.
house
Oh,
and some of those rooms were
scenery was
like
lovely.
beautiful.
I don't know where that carousel was, but I did worry that it was going to fall apart while they were.
Oh yeah, I had the same thought. It reminded me. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't even know if they do this anymore, but like they used to like bring those traveling things around like once a year and set up in a random parking lot, and you pay all that money to go in. But it always all those rides looked like they were gonna collapse at any moment, and I was like, oh, it's my childhood.
But I mean, that's one of my favorite scenes in the book, and so I was really happy that it made it into the film. But when the first time I saw it, I was a little bit distracted by the structural issues of the.
Well, I really liked this Nicole Sakura. I had never seen her before. I guess she's on Superstore. But I thought she was great, and it's just nice when Hallmark uses some new people.
Yeah.
That and we get to know some other actresses and a young actress. I thought that was really nice. And I thought they had like pretty good chemistry. I bought them together.
Well, she was in a Christmas movie this past year, The Finish Line. She was the best friend, the main character.
Oh, okay.
It was her second Hallmark movie.
Not totally new then, yeah.
Oh, that's right. She
first
was
lead.
Yeah, it's her first lead, but she was in the
I forgot.
Yeah, I knew her. She looked so familiar to me. I couldn't place her.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I've seen this face.
She does a lot of voice work, which is pretty cool. I love voice actors. She has a bunch of voice credits on her thing, so that's cool. Yeah, we'll have to have her or try to get her on the podcast because I just liked her. I thought she was good.
She was awesome. When I first heard who was cast in the movie, I was so thrilled to get William Moseley.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yay, an actual authentic accent. Yeah, I was so about that, because that's always, sometimes that's really cringe, in the Hallmark Royal movies. But so I was like, we have a real Brit. This is gonna be amazing. And he was in a show called The Royals on the E Network, where he played a crown prince, and the Queen of England was Elizabeth Hurley. It was way edgier than Hallmark. I mean, it was definitely not Hallmark.
Yeah.
I love that show.
But I liked him in Notting Hill.
Oh, he was good
in the holiday Notting Hill one.
Thrilled to have him, but then when I was watching the movie, I just was captivated by Nicole. I thought that she was amazing, and I was like, wow, she really impressed me in her.
And her hair was magnificent.
Right. And I ordered the rhinestone bow that they had on the back of her hair. I ordered one from Dawn for $6.99, and it just came in. I can't wait to try it. But her hair was a character in and of itself. It was beautiful.
Now I know that the princesses, all the characters at Disneyland and Disney World are all very restricted as far as what they are supposed to talk about, what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to like be doing anything outside of their character, like even like just not be seen doing like eating anything or do anything that would be seen as outside of their character. The rules are very strict. So in that sense, I understood her boss like being super strict, but on the other hand, like he was intense. Like, I mean, you would think that you'd want to use the opportunity for one of your princesses actually like working for a real royal. You might use that to market your place, but no,
dreams like, really do come
you
true.
Broke the rules. You broke the rules.
Well, that was not from the book, FYI. No. But when I wrote the book, though, I did a lot of research into what it was like to be a theme park princess, and that is super hardcore. I mean, you're not allowed to put a picture. I mean, it really is like that. And I wrote the book after I had gone to a romance writer conference, and Romance Writers of America. The conference moves around every year; it's in a different place. Mm-hmm. And I went to the conference in Orlando. It was at Disney World, and so the night before the conference, I invited a group of girlfriends together, and we all went to the Cinderella character dinner. And we had such a good time. The Cinderella and Prince Charming were there. They waltzed. The stepsisters and the evil stepmother was there, and they were hysterical. We just had such a great time. And they never break character. And the answers that they give you are just hilarious. Like I had a Cinderella manicure, and I remember showing it to Cinderella, and she was like, "Oh, did your fairy godmother do that for you?" I mean, I just loved the whole interaction, which is when I got the idea to do, a book about that. But yeah, that doesn't, the boss was hardcore. You would think he would
really was
into like an advertisement for the theme park, even royals come here.
Yeah.
But he was like, "No, you're fired."
Yeah. He's like, "Girl, I don't care. You're done.
You're out of here." Yeah.
So what do you think of the whole the princess being afraid of the horses and that whole sort of plot element? Do you think that was handled well?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, I did. I just wish she was a little bit younger, like in the book. I think they made her 9, right, in the movie.
She was 8, turning 9 in the movie.
She's 8. Okay. So, all right. So that all tracks. I thought it was fine. I don't know if I would have been afraid to ride the carrot. Well, looking at that carousel, I might have been, but when you're a kid, you don't care. And I thought it was fine. I mean, they had to fit in a lot in a time frame, and I think they did a pretty decent job of it. But I felt like being afraid to ride a horse in a big procession like that at such a young age, it would be stressful. Yeah. That's a lot to handle at that age. Like that, you feel responsible. Like
it makes sense to me because I've always been a little bit nervous around animals.
Yeah.
And so I can understand being pretty nervous. Plus it provided like a very natural kind of place for her to help. But that would also involve the prince, and that would I thought that made sense.
Yeah.
To do. That was good. And I liked that they had enough little moments of them like playing croquet and going for a picnic and things like that.
Yes, that helps build that chemistry up.
You want those swoony moments.
Yeah. And I will say kudos to everybody, because when they did the procession and they got all dolled up, I was like, yeah, the costume department put some effort up in here.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just a jacket with a sash, and they really went out here.
Yeah.
And I was like, this looks good. Yeah. I like it.
Terry, were you happy with her princess dress with the pink? Oh, yes. I was really happy with the princess dress. Because when the original book came out, which I loved the book cover that Hallmark put on the book, but the dress was yellow on the book cover. And my editor asked me, she said, "Do you want to go through," because the book was already written when they made the cover. She said, "Do you want to go through the book and change the dress to yellow?" And I was like, "No." I want to leave it pink. And then when the book got a new cover, the new cover, she has a pink gown. I loved her pink dress a lot, but I really liked the end. First of all, there were a lot of nods to actual Disney movies, in the film, in the screenwriting, which I thought was amazing. Because when they dance at the castle, at Princess Sweet Pea's castle, I was surprised they had the song from Sleeping Beauty is the song that they dance to in the movie. And then at the end, which I guess we haven't talked about the ending, but at the end, he comes back and they're going to dance in the Sweet Pea's castle again. And she changes into the blue dress that she was supposed to wear when she was in Bella Moritz. There's that moment where, she's in the blue and then she's in the pink. And I don't know if a lot of viewers caught that's a nod from Sleeping Beauty. Movie, where at the end of that movie, when the prince and princess are dancing, the fairies keep changing her dress from pink to blue to blue. And I just really, really love that moment at the end, which had nothing to do with the book, but I thought that was really clever, and I was happy.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
I did question. I was like, how much they pay for that music? I did when I clocked that, and I'm always thinking about weird things like that.
I was shocked when it was that music.
I was like, oh.
Like with the dress thing, that was funny because when the movie came on, I had a little party at my house and my family came and a bunch of my writer friends came. And like when she's trying on the blue dress for the first time and then she puts it in a garment bag and hangs it next to the other garment bag, which eventually are going to get switched. Of course, all my writer friends knew what was going to, they were like, oh, look. And I was like, well, it's a Terry Wilson story when the black moment is you have the wrong dress, like for the occasion.
Did they have the words? Was it just the music?
It was just the music.
Okay, I bet you because that was from the ballet.
Yes, that's probably
so. That's probably how they did it. Is that it's probably in the public domain, the ballet, because Sleeping Beauty was released in 1959, so it wouldn't be in the public domain yet. But
no, not yet.
The word, so that's probably how they got around that. That was pretty fun, and I personally, I'm Team Pink in the Sleeping Beauty battle.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm Team Blue. Like I always go, I like blue better than pink. So
well, they always said that that Cinderella's color was blue, even though her dress in that movie is not blue, it's silver. But in the Disney princess lineup, her dress is in that lineup, her dress is blue. But now, I mean, we don't even care about that anymore because I mean, Jasmine's outfit is blue and Elsa isn't technically a princess, but her dress is also blue. So like everybody can be blue.
It's cool.
But there's not enough pink in the world. I'm pro pink.
I'll tell you, I would have loved the scene. I was like, I wish she would have gone to that ball and you're like, oh no, this is what I gotta wear. I would have loved that. That would have been a cute moment. I would have died. I would have just like walked out the window. I would have been like, it's done.
I did like her in both dresses. She
looked lovely.
She rocked it.
Oh, that's another thing, Rachel, too. What did you feel about like the big dress and the reluctant royal? We only really got two big dresses.
Oh, yeah. I didn't love it. It was sort of a weird, choppy. It was a very modern dress.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fine, but not.
Yeah, I think this one has the best. Like this movie has like the best dress reveal.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. We got a pretty early kiss in this movie. That was fun.
Yeah, we got move it along.
Yeah, he goes off to this date with Lady Sophia, who they're both just doing it to just distract the tabloids from both of their relationships, which was fun. And he says to the handler, he says, "I'm doing this for Lacey to distract the press." And does she know that? That was good. When I was out there tonight, you were all I could think about. That was fun. And so then we get our big kiss. And then I liked the fact that she ended up riding with Rose, but she's in the outfit, the attendant outfit.
Yeah. And even her hair looked good, even under that hat. I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's
back in the day when my hair used to be super curly. I was like, it never looked that good. I don't know what they're doing, but she looked amazing.
Yeah. So she leaves them. She decides to leave, and because the king says it's time for you to go, and so she leaves, and but she leaves a note. And if anybody remembers my qualms with the Christmas at the Castle one, ice skating one, is she just leaves. The little girl, she leaves no note. You gotta have the note. Like it's just it's a big deal. And so I respected her for that. She leaves a note, and then the queen says the greatest joy a parent can have is seeing a child happy. Go after her. That was nice.
Finally.
Yeah.
So I was a little confused though. Did they is that why they were wearing their tuxedo? And did they get on a plane right then in their outfits and hop on that 2-hour flight? I was
maybe.
Travel it's not real.
Yeah, she'd had enough time to research grad school programs.
Yeah, there was a couple
when they
of
show
days.
up, they're in their same clothes. So I was like, I wasn't really sure how that happened at the end, but
yeah, but I love a race to the airport, go after her, thing, and
because they still have to jet up that fuel because he's probably flying private. So yeah, there's enough time for her to research. But as a prince, you need to always have that suit with you. Yeah. It's got to be prepared.
But she misses them so much, both father and daughter, which is very sweet. That's very swoony, like really, I miss you so much. And then she goes to return the dress. So it had definitely been a couple of days because she goes to return this dress, and that would have been on the day that she leaves. But she goes to return the dress, and the boss is like, "Oh no, I need you to do one more show." And it turns out Rose and Henry are there. I missed you both so much. I felt unworthy. I felt unworthy of you.
I loved that part.
That was really good. I loved it. And so then they dance, and then she's like, "Oh, I've got to go." And you're like, "Oh no, this is going to be a Cinderella moment." And then she comes back in that blue dress, and that was a really fun. Yeah. I loved that.
I was like for a moment going, where is she going? Like, what is
what? Yeah, I know. I wanted to dance with you as Lacey. Oh, so sweet. And then it says 6 months later, Rose is on the horse. They're all on horse, and then he proposes.
She gets her biscuit, so that's how they connect it. It was sweet.
It was really sweet. I enjoyed it. So yeah, I would give this one, I think, like a 4.25. I had a lot. I would definitely watch it again. I enjoyed it. E, what would you give it?
Same. Like I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. We did it. We recapped all of these royal movies. Oh, and I was just going to say real quick, you should all check out my review of the new Snow White, because we did preview it in our March preview, and Rachel Zegler had said that is more of a romance than I think that a lot of that was added in reshoots, but I'm here for it. I'm fine with that. I didn't end up recommending it because of the horrible CGI dwarfs. They look absolutely terrible, and just some of the other elements, but the romance part of it is pretty fun. And I was shocked that they had True Love's Kiss. I did not think that they would have that in a modern Disney, and it's probably always a reshoot, but yay. And so I think a lot of Hallmark fans will actually enjoy it. The songs are pretty good. I was mixed on it as far as rotten or fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but I didn't end up recommending it because of how terrible I think it looks. But as far as the story, it's like fun enough. So
I'm going to see it on Sunday. So.
That's my recommendation. That's my review for the Hallmark fans. You can watch my full review or read my review and watch my out of theater reaction over on my channel. But it's not a total train wreck like the.
How are the costumes, Rachel? Because they were done by Sandy Powell.
The costumes are great.
That's good. She's going to get an Oscar nom for that. I guarantee you. They can't resist Sandy Powell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and it really stays pretty close to that original film, but then has all these new songs and stuff. And again, I think a lot of that was added in reshoots after people were upset about the changes that they were supposedly making.
People are so upset about this movie. It makes no sense.
I mean, people love. I mean, it's one of the most important, influential films ever made, the original one. So I kind of get it, but like obviously people take it to extremes. But it's watchable. It's not awful, and the romance is one of the better parts of it. So I think Hallmark fans might actually enjoy it. So there you go. That's my quick thoughts on Snow White. But let us know what you think about these movies and which ones were your favorite. And Terry, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. This is so much fun.
Oh, sure. I love talking Hallmark and royal stuff, so this is perfect.
Yes. And if people want to follow you, get the books, how do they do that?
Well, my website is terrywilson.net, TERIWILSON.net. And my main social media is Instagram, and I'm there under Teri Wilson Author, TERIWILSONAUTHOR.
And we'll have an affiliate link in the description if you want to get any of Teri's books, but in particular, Once Upon a Royal Summer. So, E, this will be your only time being introduced as E. But how can people follow you?
I'm at Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Great.
Just nonsense, complaining about things that make no sense,
Well, and you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And E and I have ranked all of the royal movies, both holiday and non-holiday. And we've done recaps of basically all of them. So you want to check that out?
We might have to update that, Rachel.
I know there have been a few more since we did it. Well, I mean, these 3 plus more. So yeah, that would be fun. Let us know if you want that. And we have our patron group, which is really fun. And we have our watch along coming up this weekend, where Alicia Lomas Gross is going to be joining us to watch Perfect Harmony, her film. And we do monthly activities with the patrons. So we try to really make it worth your while, worth your investment. And you get to be part of our Facebook group, and you get to be a part of special bonus episodes. So we just really try to make it worth your investment. Please check out the Patreon. And then we have the merch store, and we have lots of fun designs on the merch store, romantic movies, Hallmark inspired. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Happily ever after. Bye.